This is an interview with Josef Fixler. Mr. Fixler, you had just finished telling us that you were taken to Warsaw. And
Right.
how was this that you were taken?
Once we came down the train, again began the same beating, the same mean guys, and we standing there the whole day. It was hot, and on the sun, no water, no food, and always counting us. And then they start to write again over the names and the numbers, all kind of like writing all kind of what they want to find out. I don't remember. Yeah, what kind of profession are you?
What did you tell them?
So I told them I think my father told you should see I'm a farmer. A farmer, you know, they are strong people. They know how to work, you know. So this way always my father said to a farmer, you know. So sometimes I said I'm a carpenter because I worked 1 month in a carpenting store. But then, like I said, Jewish people couldn't work more. They fired me. They had to send me home because after 4 weeks I couldn't work there. So this always take you what you do, what you know to do. And then we went then in the camp, in ghetto. This was in the ghetto, Warsaw, we came. When then in the ghetto we saw the walls, and then we find out, we didn't know we were going to Warsaw. Then I find out this was the Warsaw ghetto, and he was the Jewish. They made us against the Germans, and we start to know the stories. We didn't know home what went down.
When did you learn about the Warsaw
When we were
ghetto?
there,
From
in
whom?
Warsaw. Only in Warsaw, in the ghetto.
From whom?
From the people there who were there before us already, they told us. So we went in, we came into the camp. It was a nice, clean camp with big buildings, clean, and they gave us beds. I think there were 3 people only in one of those beds. Like in Auschwitz, there were 6, only 3, and they give you a blanket and pillows. Sounds so good, like you go for vacation against this, you know. And the night, I think they gave us food, and in the morning, again, wake up, they give you some coffee to drink, and we go out to work from the camp. In the ghetto, they make the camp. They build a camp. From the stuff, from the bricks what they had there, they put beautiful buildings, and we were there. For this was beautiful because it's just was just like a barrack, you know, just beds. But against there, it was nice. And we go out to work, and the work was to clean up the buildings what they destroyed, the Germans, during the fighting with the Jewish people there when they made the pogrom there. And we had to work, take up the bricks, pick up the iron, then cleaning the streets, and then they had trains to go by, and they couldn't go because the tracks was all there. So this was our job to clean up. And what happened, the Germans, everything they saved. When you cleaned up the bricks, they took it to Germany. They came in the Polish with the horses, they put on the wagons, out to the train to send it to Germany. But the bricks had to be cleaned because it can't be with the dead. So I said, my father, you know, you take the job, clean the bricks. You sit down and clean the bricks. He says, I will bring it to you. So all day was my job to take bricks, bring it to him, because there were like hundreds of guys cleaning. But I want to make sure they don't take him away. He will clean because carrying was very hard. They didn't give you a wagon to push. You have to get it by hand, picking them up and bring it to them. And he used to clean it, put them on the side, and then they picked it up and put it on the wagons out. And I used to tell him, don't clean so fast because I can bring so much. Every time I come back, you already don't have. I says, keep. I says, I can't do it. I'm sitting, I have to do something. So, but then he know what's going on. So I started to make it slower. I says, I can't handle it. So anyway, when I went around, I was bringing the bricks, and I see the Jewish signs like a store, a butcher, a grocery store. And I says, oh my God, there were really Jewish people here. You know, I couldn't believe that it happened. Everything you hear, you see, but I says, there were Jewish people here. And somehow I went down a basement, and I find there all kind of Jewish things like candelabras and Jewish books. And I says, my God, there were Jewish people living here. I says, where are they? You know, couldn't understand what happened to them. And then we find out that this was the ghetto, and they killed them. They took them away to Auschwitz too, and burned them and all this stuff. Then find out it's not such a pleasure to be that they're killing everybody. But they didn't really kill there in that camp in Warsaw. They would just need us for working. So they gave us lunch, used to give us food. In the evening too, some potatoes, smelly potatoes, but you had food, you ate it. So after a couple of days, we find out the Polacks tell us who picked up the brakes, who came to pick up the wagon, the brakes. They say to us, if you find some gold or silver, bring it to us. We give you bread, we bring you in salami, we bring you in fruit. The guys who took the bricks out they came in with the wagons, So, I went down the basement, so why not, for bread? I went down, I find silver, if they catch you, they kill you right away. They shouldn't do that. As a matter of fact, they said they're not supposed to go down the basements because they're afraid for a sickness. You can get sick because there's bodies and the dirt. They don't want the people to get sick. Then the soldiers get sick, it goes around. If they caught you to go down the basement, they kill you. Right away, shoot you without asking. Matter of fact, they had dogs. I don't know, they were smelling. Once you made a hole between the buildings, when it started to clean up, you made a hole just to see the basement. The smell from the basement, the dog felt. They smelled the smell, and they come to run, the dogs of these Germans. Somehow they teach them for that. But, at a time like this, you try anything. They wasn't afraid, they went down. And this we used to give the Polak the silver, the gold. We told they would never come back. They came back next day and bring us back the bread. I remember even strawberries and salami. And we used to eat. As a matter of fact, we used to give him the German. The soldier used to go by. He says, we're having. He says, says we find it on the floor, So he was happy. He has to offer some fruit. And as a matter of fact, we went back lunchtime to the camp to eat lunch. Nobody ate lunch because we were full. We used to spill out the food. Didn't need it.
How many workers were there?
They counted about 6,000.
And who organized them?
The working? The capos, the Germans and the capos.
So is that how you had the job of picking up the bricks and
Yeah.
on?
We went out always to 100 groups, to hundreds always. They make hundreds, 100, always 100 people go out to work. When you came out to work, they say, all right, you 10 do the bricks, you 10 carry the bricks, you 10 push the wagons. Each one had to give a job.
And so who were these capos?
They were Germans, that they were criminals. And they brought them over there to beat. They didn't like Jewish people either. They were like mean, beating and screaming, and it's very bad. And one time, matter of fact, we didn't have cigarettes. Even we used to get cigarettes from the Polacks, but we couldn't bring it in the camp because they always checks you. So I used to hide it between the bricks outside, between them. And used to make everything I put them. Next morning I went to check, they're still there, So I used to make business. Working can make business. Matter of fact, the last time when they took us away from there, I feel sorry I forgot to take the cigarettes. Who knows what happened? So maybe someday I go back, I will find them. But I didn't go back. I went back just last year.
How long was your workday?
Who knows? It must be. There was no time, just work. You never know. No time, no watch. Just when they say work, they say come. But it was fun. Till we saw, till night, because no lights there, was nothing on the streets, because everything was damaged. So we were there in Warsaw almost 2 months. But the last 2 weeks we had already shooting. We heard, like the Russians, far away. We heard in the night, we could hear it easier. We heard shooting, so we were thinking, oh, no, it's nice. Now we're getting already, they're coming close, we'll be free. But the Germans didn't want us to fall in, but the Russians, they took us away from Warsaw. So we're standing in line one day, and they start to scream that we have to leave the city, and we have to walk 100 kilometers to the German border. And who can walk, they should come out, and we take them with trucks. But only the people who can walk. So I know my father wasn't so healthy man, but I didn't tell him nothing. He was standing in the back of me, and there was another friend of his from the same city. And I think so. I don't remember if he asked me, he goes, or should I go? I didn't remember that. But the thing I heard, he said, all right, I'm going with my friend. I'm going with the truck. This I remember. And he left me, and he started to walk away. And he walked away after 5-6 minutes. I says, what happened? I'm alone. So I started to run. started to run, I want to go with my father. On the way running, come the German cop and gives me a smack and says to me, "You're young enough, you can run, go back." So supposedly saved my life. And again, we're sitting there. The first day I was very upset, I'm alone now, It's the first time in my life. They were sitting the whole day, and then somehow they couldn't take us out because they were afraid because of the partisans on the way. So they says, "We're going tomorrow. Go back, everybody, to the barracks." Next day again, and it's no food. Next day again, say we're leaving today. We're sitting in line, and somehow again they didn't leave us. They took us out again to work because we couldn't leave. We worked maybe 4 or 5 hours, back to the barracks. And this was going on for 3 days. The third day, we're sitting to leave the place, and I was very upset. I was alone. And I'm sitting there, we're sitting on the concrete to leave the city before we go out the ghetto. And the Germans went around always looking for weak people to take out, So, like they said, "Oh, you weak, come, we will get you, we'll take you there." And he walked around, he says, I remember there was a doctor there, and he was very skinny, looked very skinny, like sick. And he says to him, "All right, come to my office, 12 o'clock. Then he goes to another one, a little in the back of me yet, and he says to another one, "You too, come to my office at 12 o'clock. He comes close to me, he sees me. "Oh, you too, 12 o'clock, come to my office." I felt shivering. I know this is not good, So he takes out a pencil, wants to write down the numbers, and he didn't have a pencil. So he went to get a pencil from his friend, the German, other SS. And he came back, and the people hide me. They put me back 2 rows on the side, and I was lying down like, they shouldn't see me. And he comes back, he says, "Where is the Junge? Where is that little boy was here? Where is he? Where is he?" He says, everybody says, "No here, no here." So he went front and back, he couldn't see me, and I was scared because he would see me then. I was lucky he didn't see me. He went away. But the other guys, he found and he took him. They had to go there. The reason I find out is because when my father left to go to the trucks, the people who was there working, they took him to another camp. It was like a hospital there. It was a small camp too. There were professionals, more like doctors and nurses. And they're supposed to be the trucks, take him to places we're supposed to walk. When he came back, they see the guys coming back from that camp. It was Jewish boys, but they were longer there. I remember the guy, a young boy, he was from Belgium. He came back, he was maybe 2 years older than me. And he was a nurse, like he was working on. So I asked him, "Tell me, what happened to the guys? They went there." They said, "No." He says, "I can tell you." I says, "Why not?" He says, "I want to know why, where they went." He says, "You had somebody there?" This person says, "No, I don't have nobody." He says, "So why ask me?" He says, "Because I want to go and they didn't let me." "But you must have somebody." He didn't want to tell me. But at the end, he told me that all those people went to the truck, they put them in the hospital, they shoot them, and they put in oil all around, gas, and they burned them down. At the same time, I find out later when I came home that my brother, older brother, was in that hospital too. And why he went to hospital, he had some swollen hand. And they took me in the hospital. And the same hospital was my father. I was in my mind, I hope at least they met each other before they killed him. I was hoping. And I find out this only after I came 10 years later that my brother was there. I didn't know. My cousin knew that he was there. She didn't want to tell me. She was keeping. She wouldn't want to upset me.
When did you leave Warsaw?
This was must be end of July. It was very hot. And now we're walking out from the ghetto already. We start to leave. And it was so hot, and we walk the streets like highways. And you walk on the street, and like 2 hours came a captain, a big SS man with a jeep, and screams, "Jewish people down from the highway. Jewish people can't walk there. Jewish people shouldn't walk there in the highway. Jewish people can walk down from on the side." So everybody started to go inside. You could have a choice. And they were shooting all the time. The guy was going with a jeep with a gun in the hand, and somebody just stepped on the street or fall down because some stone was there. Right away, shoot him in the hand. There were and the same time we were walking, I think I was still in the camp, I met a nice guy, a young boy like my age, and we became like friends, walking together, we talked together, I feel to have somebody. I was alone. I want to have something else. I think he was a Hungarian boy, I don't know, I can't remember him. Nice looking guy. So we walked the whole day, so it came around 12 o'clock. They tell us to sit down on the side. So, you sit and you talk, and then come screaming, up, we're going. So I went up right away, and he somehow took a little longer. Right away they shoot him in the head.
You saw
Next
this?
time I saw it. Yeah.
How many people were walking?
About 6,000. And when we came to the place, was only 4,000. 2,000 was killed and died. And here you walk, no water, no food, no nothing. It was like 3 days in the sun. Luckily in the night they let us rest a little bit. And no food at all. I think we used to grab something, find a piece of grass or what from the field. One night we came to a place and we were sitting in the side of the highway, and there went a guy, a German, with the cows, with a wagon. We asked him, can you give us some water? He was afraid we would kill him, but he says, he was screaming, go down 2 feet in the ground, there is water. Try to dig in 2 feet, 2 meters, not 2 feet. What you dig, no tools, no nothing. So who had a spoon, who had a fork, a knife, start to dig for the water. You should see, like this was like everybody, 3, 4 guys together, like had start to dig. I don't know if we did it with spoons or this, and we came to the water. It was like in the hundreds there, holes.
What did the guards do?
The guards start to scream, to shoot in the air. We shouldn't drink the water because they're afraid again for sickness. So the officer came down and he checked the water if it's clean, if you can drink it, and he says it's okay, we can drink it. It saved a lot of people's lives.
Where did you sleep during this walk?
On the ground, on the floor, just on the field.
Did you come across local people?
No, just the only guy, what he told us, the secret, that there is 2 meters down is water. You should dig, you find water there.
And how long did you walk for?
For 3 days, 4 days maybe. I remember the next day we walked and we came to a bridge. We had to cross the bridge. We see water, a river, and this is sweet water. And they took us down from the bridge, not to drink, just to rest there somehow. Or we couldn't walk. Something was the traffic or what, because a lot of army came into Warsaw, Germans, to fight the Russians. They brought new soldiers, so the highways was all taken. So we went down there to next to the river. And who went to the river, they shoot them right away. We couldn't even go. On the bridge was standing hundreds of soldiers with the guns ready. Who goes to the water? Boom, shoot them. I don't know, I did it. I took a cup, a pot, and I ran to the water and picked it up and ran away. I was lucky. But there's a lot of people killed there because of that. They wanted to drink water.
And where did you arrive after 3 days?
After this we came, they say the train will be here. In this part they say we are in here and the train will come and pick us up. There was only tracks there. This was like in the evening. So we have to sleep there until the train comes. So there was like a little forest. And we're sitting in the forest there, sitting on the floor. And all around us, the Germans, so many thousands watching us, with jeeps, with tanks. And it started to rain. So strong, but people were so tired and lie down on the grass, sleeping with the blankets or what. Somehow I don't know, I was smart or lucky, I find a little higher up. And I was sleeping on this. In the morning when we woke up, half of them was drunk. They died from the water. They were lying and sleeping, and they just drowned. They drowned there. And who woke up already couldn't walk because the weight. You had the clothes on and you had a blanket. You couldn't walk. And so I remember there was 2 guys from Munkac. I forgot the name. And he tried his brother, screaming, "Get up, get up!" He was half dead. "Get up! Don't lie there. Get up on the train." I don't know how strong he was. He pushed him, picked him up, and put him on the train. And then he died on the train. Couldn't make it. And we all went again in the train. After the train, everybody's wet. So who was still alive. And I was surprised they didn't take the bodies, and they must get rid of them there. And imagine the smell in the train. Each like 100 people with that wet suits and the wet dress and this heavy wind. It was, who knows, smell, I think, nobody cared. Just always your dream is just to survive and get a little water and a piece of bread. This was the only thing you want. And then we came to Dachau with the train, took us to Dachau. There again, they took you in, took off the clothes, and shave you, like all beginning, like. And there was a sign all over. If you have one lice, it's a death. If you find a lice, then you're dead. And there was plenty lice. But they did what they did. They wash it. I remember we went through one door. They take a brush with all kind of infections, and they smeared you like a paint on the body, infecting you from the lice. And then they put us in a big block there. I think they gave us coffee in the night that time.
You arrived at night?
We arrived like in the evening. Till we finished us all the clothes, they gave us coffee. In the morning, again coffee, and lunch they gave us a soup. As I remember that. And we were there almost, next to our block was all kind of people already sitting there for a couple of years, all kind of people there. The Germans kept in Dachau, the Germans who was like anti-government or didn't like I think he said, I don't want to go to the army. They brought them there over there too, and they were working there too. And there was a couple guys was there, I think from Holland. They tried to bring us water to our side. They came to the fence and gave us to the fence water. They should have.
What were the barracks like at Dachau?
They were nicer than Auschwitz, better. They were more cleaner. And again, it wasn't so bad like in Auschwitz, like in Birkenau. It was a little bit smoother. The reason I think they need us for work, they took us, after we were there, I think, a week, they tried to give us clothes and give us some food. We should be a little back to Paul because they were factories they had to build. For the army, they were planning to build, where we worked later, underground factories, because the American always bombed the factories, so they want to keep it underground, so they need us for working. So they tried to give us a little bit coming back. And after a week, they took us to Mildorf, next to Dachau, it's not far. And they call it Waldlager. Mildorf had a lot of lagers, camps, but this was a Waldlager.
How did you get selected to go there?
Again, just log 5, 5, 5, and you go there, like this. They divide us really, who came from Russia.
How did they take you? How did they take you there?
They with the train, from Dachau into the train. And once we came to the camp, we see it's like really a forest, and they have only tents. And we went in there in the tents, and I think they gave us again some soup. In the morning they wake us up, we have to go to work. We went to work, like they call it Oberstelle. This was, I would say, maybe 2 kilometers big and 2 kilometers wide, digged very deep ground, and this is what they built there with concrete. And when it was finished the concrete, they put on dirt and then trees. So when the Americans come, they think it's a forest, it's not a factory there. So this was very bad work, all day, 12 hours working.
So your job was to build this?
Yeah, each one was, some carried cement, some was, my job was to name a stick and fill and make sure the cement goes in. Each section was like this room, high, so thick that concrete built. And then we have to make sure with the stick put in the concrete between the eye and it should make it strong. And this was, the beginning was nice, but later you work so hard and food is no food, just a little bit soup, sometime in the night a slice of bread. And walking to the job was 10 kilometers there and 10 kilometers back, walking every night. And sometimes was day, and then we changed around day and night. And people were working there hard, they had to carry the cement on the back, walking up like this, maybe 20 meters to the place where they throw it in, they mix the cement. And people just fainted and died there, you know.
In the pit?
Not in the pit, a lot in the pit too, who knows. But they fall down and they died, and we had to bring the dead people back to the camp, because if you left 1,000 people, you have to bring back 1,000. So if he's dead, you have to carry him. You can't leave them there in the factory. Well, I was wondering how they carry, after a day walk and walking 10 kilometers back. So people used to carry the hand, the legs, and luckily they didn't tell me. I was maybe young. They felt I shouldn't do that. Or they're afraid I couldn't do that. So this was going on for almost 8 months.
8 months in Mildorf.
Yeah.
And you were in Dachau for how long before that?
About a week.
Did you have any job there?
No, in Dachau didn't work. No.
How many people were in Mildorf?
Like I said, Mildorf had a lot of lagers, a lot of camps, but our camp was named Waldlager, and there were about 2,000 people.
Did you get to know any of the guards? Have any interaction with the guards?
Yeah, sometime, but they really try not to talk to them. They wouldn't answer you. They wouldn't talk to you. If you ask, it says, shut up, don't talk to me, don't ask me questions. And sometimes there was an old man, I remember something, we asked him, how come you're so old and you're an SS man, So you say, shut up, don't ask questions, But he didn't beat. He was an old man, really. I would say those times, maybe 60s.
Were there ever any acts of kindness during these days that you remember?
I remember there was one time, once we had to go outside counting. Something was missing, 2 guys. And this was already in the end of the month. And the counting was, it was winter time, snow, and we're standing outside, with the pajamas and shoes like sneakers, and everybody's shivering, and again counting, you can't find 2 guys. Something would happen, I don't know how, or they escaped or what happened, I never know. So in the morning till 5 o'clock, he came out, the German, the guy who was responsible on the camp, and he asked the guy who keeps us out, says, why you keep him, what happened? He says, oh, there's missing 2 guys. So when are they out? He says, from 2 o'clock. I says, are you crazy? And he gives them a smack. He says, these people have to go to work. How they can go to work, He was so surprised that he sent us back to the blocks, and we didn't go to work that day. Because this was the one thing, was a nice thing. And happened after the American came in, we told the story to the Americans, and they put him up a sign that he was a good German, and he walked around with that sign, good German, like in English and German. So he was walking free. He was an Austrian German, but he had that little feeling, looks like he couldn't take it. So.
What were you fed besides the soup and coffee?
In the night, used to give us a slice of bread. Sometimes they call it Blattwurst. This is from blood, they made this wurst. Yeah, it was delicious. It was delicious. I wouldn't eat it now, but it was delicious. I remember it.
What happened after the workday?
The workday? So who was in the camp? Most people were tired, went to sleep. I was talking a little bit. But I remember one time there was Yom Kippur, and I was surprised. I was afraid to go. They made a minyan, they call it. They came together, they want to pray after they came back from work in the night. And they were praying with singing, everything. I said, oh my God, the Germans will come in there and kill everybody. Why are they doing that? And they did it somehow. I don't know, or they didn't bother them, or they didn't hear. I was afraid to go in there because I says they will come in and beat everybody up. And they made it. But in the morning, we went to work again, next morning.